The echoes of guilt.
Five strangers from various backgrounds received invitations to a mansion on Lakshadweep Islands off the coast of Kerala, India. The guests arrived only to discover that their host, Mr. Ram Chopra, was absent. As they settled in, they noticed five puppets hanging in front of the door, each representing one of the guests. A mysterious radio recording accusing each of them of a heinous crime for which they had escaped justice.
A storm isolated the island from the mainland and the guests.
Rita Sharma, a wealthy socialite.
Mr. Andrew, an unethical scientist.
Madhav Arora, a shady businessman.
Sonia, a suspicious woman.
Bulbul, a housewife who cared for no one.
A bell rings in the dining room across the lobby. With much hesitation and fear, the guest approached the room. The door opened to a lavish dining room, walls painted teal blue and pearl white, with vintage furniture, proudly speaking of Mr. Ram Chopra's wealth. The alluring sight was paused when Mr. Andrew spotted a tattered letter. Why was such a worn out piece of paper placed in a 100 crore mansion?
The letter read, "My dear guests, I hope you have all arrived on the island comfortably. I am grieved to inform you that I won't be joining you all till the next week. I have some urgent business to manage. However, please feel free at home and enjoy a joyous stay. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, please go out to the ridge. I have something ready for you all."
Mr. Madhav lashed out. Who does he think he is? He accuses us of some crimes and now tell us to move for a welcome? Everyone was conflicted, their mind constructing vague assumptions about the recording. The cryptic letter and this odd Ram Chopra, after pondering over this, they decided to move to the ridge.
The island was set with tropical flora, an unsettling sea, and a cloudy sky above. Sonia said, "Clouds. It will rain the next few days." Bulbul's thoughts were interrupted by this, and she looked up at the sky. The ridge was all decked out with lights and a picnic table with adorable sitting cushions. They all sat down, still with a little discomfort lingering in the background. It was collectively decided that the box on the middle of the table was, of course, for them.
Mrs. Rita took the responsibility and opened the box. A knitting needle. Huh? What's this? Mr. Madhav gets up. Is this a joke? I don't understand what this is. Mr. Andrew. The man is peculiar for sure. Bulbul is still sitting on the cushion while everyone is talking. Her face looked worn. Her caramel colored skin ashy. Sonia says, "Okay, I'm going back to the house. It will start raining any moment now."
They were moving towards the house and Bulbul said, "I think Mr. Chopra knows something about us. He knows about us." Mr. Madhav asked, "What do you mean us? I haven't done anything wrong. Also, I think Mr. Chopra is a tool who is trying to play with us."
Bulbul solemnly continues. "You don't understand. He knows. The knitting needle. No, I stuck her with it. He knows. He knows she's dead." The atmosphere became thick with tension, and as Bulbul's past unfolded, the lines between victim and perpetrator blurred.
It started pouring heavily. Mr. Andrew urged everyone to run to the mansion and discuss Bulbul later. Mrs. Rita is the second last to enter. As soon as entering the foyer, she turned to Bulbul. "Did you really kill someone?" Bulbul didn't reply. She was at the entrance gate, her foot intertwined between the railing. She was all wet and dead. There seemed to follow a nursery rhyme from the radio.
Five little soldiers going through a door. One stopped his toe, and then there were four.
Soon, the second one, Rita, disappeared while they were searching the nearby forest for a way out. 3 days later, Mr. Andrew started puking blood and got really weak. He lost hope and in trust. He seemed disturbed and isolated himself. He started sitting at the cliff. One day, his chair was empty. The sea looked somewhat calm.
4 little soldiers going to the sea. A wave swallowed one, and then there were 3.
As the bodies continued to pile up, paranoia and suspicion gripped the remaining survivors. With no way to escape the island and no one else in sight, the group realized that the killer was perhaps one of them. Trust began to erode, alliances formed and dissolved. Everyone was a killer, and as secrets from the past were revealed, it became apparent that each guest had a dark secret they would have rather kept hidden.
As the dwindling group struggled to survive and identify the murderer, suspicions grew. In their search for answers, they uncovered a hidden message that accused them all of causing the deaths. The survivors realized that the killer must have been someone who had intimate knowledge of their crimes and craved retribution.
As the remaining guests became increasingly desperate and afraid, they frantically searched for clues to get to the killer. But as they investigated, the body count rose and the time ran out. The suspense reached its peak when only 2 people remained, Sonia and Mr. Madhav Arora. The shocking revelation forced the survivors to confront the darkest recesses of their souls.
Being the last 2 people on the island, Sonia and Madhav turned against each other. They spent their time on the ridge, thinking. Heightened feelings of insecurity and determined suspicion took over. Survival was the only instinct. To kill each other and flee the island, the only way. In the heat of an argument, Sonia said, "You have been a prick this entire time. You are most likely to be the killer. You are a businessman after all. I know your lot very well." She pushed Madhav off the ridge. Finally, the killer was dead.
2 little soldiers sitting in the sun. One got stabbed, and then there was one.
Hours passed. Sonia was all alone on an empty island with a distant storm in her sight, which compared to nothing like the one in her mind. With the storm reaching its peak, Sonia, haunted by the violence and death surrounding her, decided to hang herself to death.
5 little soldiers going through a door. One stubbed his toe, and then there were 4. 4 little soldiers going out to sea. The waves swallowed one, and then there were 3. 3 little soldiers walking in the zoo. The bear ate one, and then there were 2. 2 little soldiers sitting in the sun. One got pushed off the cliff, and then there was one. One little soldier left all alone. He hung himself, and then there were none.